38. The title here right now says fitting a line to data. So there are three different correlations that you can have when we're talking about scatter plots. You guys have made scatter plots before, correct? All right, so scatter plots, do you connect scatter plots or not? Do you like connect the dots? No, you don't connect the dots. So that's why they're called scattered, because they're sometimes they're a little bit, everywhere. So when we're looking at how they're scattered, some of them follow a pattern, and we call that pattern a correlation. So just like we have positive slopes, we can have a scatter plot that has a positive correlation, which simply means like all the dots are going, wrong way. All the dots would be going in a positive direction. Okay. So you can just scatter some dots, and all of those are going in a positive direction. So we call that a positive correlation. Same thing if they're going in the opposite direction. Okay. Even though they're not connected, we can see they're following that trend, and that is considered a negative correlation. And of course, no correlation would just be, dots and everywhere. Okay, but they're not really following a particular trend. So when we're trying to determine the line of best fit, obviously we don't connect the dots, but what we do is we're trying to find an equation that will be like in the middle. What's the equation of that line that will be in the middle of the data? Since we can't connect all the points, we just say, okay, well, if I have dots on both sides of this line, okay, I'm going to go in the middle, and then I need to determine what is the equation of that line, okay, which is what we call the line of best fit. And when it has no correlation at all, of course, we don't look for a line of best fit. Okay, it's only when it has this correlation. Now, here they give you two different graphs to look at, and they give you a situation, and they say the two graphs show gallons of gas that remain in the gas tank and the miles driven for each of the 6 hours. So which one would be the correct graph to represent you driving a distance and how much gas is left in the tank? So let's just call this graph A and this graph B. So which one would be the better representation of driving a distance and how much gas you have left in your tank, A or B? All right, very good. Gas. Of course, as you drive, what happens to your gas tank? It decreases, right? It would be very nice if you drive and then gas just keeps going in your tank. That would be awesome. All right, it doesn't happen that way. All right, so now let's take a look at some directions here. See these directions right here? This will be for your graphing calculator. Right here, I want you to add the word enter. Okay, so you're going to be hitting stat, and then you're going to be hitting enter. And then it tells you here, second step, we're going to be pressing option 4. We'll get to all of this, so don't start the calculator process just yet. And then it tells you to arrow down to calculate. And then on your calculator, guys, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see y equals ax plus b. But what is that for us? Right, y equals mx plus b. So the calculator will say ax plus b, but we know that a would obviously, with the calculator, represent our slopes. Okay, and then why do we even do this line of best fit stuff is so we can make predictions. Okay, that is really the whole purpose of getting that line that's in the middle of that data to help us make better predictions. All right. Okay. So we're going to start this, and I want everyone to pay attention and make sure you're following along with me. I'm going to put the graphing calculator up here. All right. Okay, let me clear this out. So, and if you get lost here, my key history is right here. Okay, so you can see what button I pressed. Now, when I press the button, it's going to turn red, so you can see where it's located. So the very first thing on your notes, it says to press stat. Okay, and what did I tell you to write in number 1? You added a word. Enter. Very good. So we're going to press enter. Now, since we did this in the other class, you probably have some, if you're using the yellow calculators, you probably have some numbers like I do in L1 and L2. How many people have numbers in their calculator? All right. If you don't, that's fine, but you need to know because you'll have numbers the next time, and I'm going to show you how you clear your list. There are a couple ways you can do it. We're just going to do it this way today. So I'm going to arrow over until I'm on top of L1. So I had to go to the left and go up so I can actually have this dark. All right. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to press clear. Now, when I press clear, notice nothing cleared, correct? But when I press the down arrow, everything will clear out. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my cursor right on top of L2. So I'm going to go over to the right, and then I'm going to go up. I'm going to press clear, and then I'm going to arrow down, and then it disappears. All right, now you'll have to do that because after we put in some numbers, when we do our second example, you'll follow along with me, all right? So I need to get back to L1, so I'm just going to cursor back over here. Now, what you're going to do is take a look at your table right here. Put your calculator down for 1 second. I'm going to have you write something in. So right here, you're going to write L1, L2. This really is your X column, and this is your Y, and it always follows that pattern. So whatever's first in the table is X, whatever's second in the table is Y, whatever's first in the table is L1, whatever's second in the table is L2. Okay, so now let's go back to our calculators, and we're going to put in everything down in L1 that's on your paper. Okay. So notice that this is talking about the length of a tadpole over how many days or ages is old. So we're going to put in 5. When you put in 5, you just simply press enter. Okay, that's how you enter data. After each number, press enter. So 2, enter. 9, enter. 7, enter. 12, enter. 10, enter. 3, enter. And 6, enter. So once you have them all into L1, you arrow over to L2. Okay, just arrow over once, and then you'll be in the L2 column, and we're going to do the same thing, put it into L2. All right, so 14. And notice I put 144. So I'm going to delete that. All right, enter. Okay, 15. All right, 3, 8, 1, 3, 12, and 9. Now, a lot of times, since you are doing everything on the calculator, it's very easy to make a mistake, because notice I put in 144 first and I caught myself. So always go back and check to make sure that these are pairing up like it is in the table, right? Because it will give you an answer, but it's based on if you put the data in correctly. So you want to make sure you double check that. All right, so after that, it says you're going to go, everybody look at step 2. Step 2 says press stat. And then to get to calc, okay, everybody pay attention. See how calc is right here? Once you press stat, you have to arrow over to calc. Everybody just press the red arrow. You should be here. No, see how it says option number 4? You don't need to scroll to it. We're just going to press 4. You see how it says AX plus B? That's that linear regression line. So we just press 4, and then this pops up. Okay, how many people see this? All right, so there are a couple ways you can do this. Yes, you can arrow down, or you can just keep pressing enter till you get to the end. And then once you get to the end, it'll give you an answer. Okay, once you press enter that last time, just keep pressing enter until you see these numbers. Okay, see how it says y equals ax plus b? And then they tell you A and they tell you B. So what did we say A represents again? M, your slope, and this is your y-intercept. Okay, so now what you're going to do is go back to your notes and see where it says line of best fit. You're going to write in y equals negative 1.48x plus 18.13, because we're just going to round them to the hundredths place. Okay, we don't need to go any further than that. So just round to the hundredths. So once you have that written down, okay, once you have the negative 1.48x plus the 18.13, hit your y equals key. And now we're going to type that into here. So negative 1.48. Here's x right here, guys. X plus 18.13. All right, so now what we're going to do, because the question is, if we go back here, okay, the question is, how old is, or how long is the tadpole's tail when he's how many days old? 11 days old. Okay, so now that we have this equation in, we can just go to our table. Everybody hit second, and then graph. That takes you to the table. Now notice how my table is way up here at 45. So I'm not going to waste time scrolling to 11. I'm going to set my window. So I'm going to hit second window, and I'm going to type in 11. So it'll be at the top of my table when I go back. And then second graph. Okay, so it looks like it's about 1.85 millimeters. So again, it helps us to make good predictions. So your predictions for this tadpole would be 1.85 millimeters. So on page 37, we're not going to number these. We're typically, guys, we don't put years into the calculator. What we do is we start off with year 0, and then based on how it's increasing, like of course from 1975 to 1980, that you went up 5 years, so 0 plus 5 is 5, and you keep going up 5 years to 85 to 90 to 95. So these are the actual numbers we will put into L1. Okay, and this is talking about the number of indoor movie theaters in thousands. So this is like 11,000, but we're just going to be putting these numbers in, and then we'll know that thousands come at the end of our answer when we do our prediction. Okay. All right, so first thing, we're going to do the line of best fit. All right, so on your calculator, first step we're going to do is hit stat. What's after stat? Enter. Very good. All right, and let's go ahead and clear our list. So let's hit, let's make sure we're on L1. We're going to hit clear, bring it down. Go over to L2, hit clear, bring it down. Okay, so now we have cleared out our list. We're going to go back to L1, and we're going to put in 0, 10, 15, and 20. All right, and then we'll go over to L2, and we'll put in the other numbers. Oh, did I put in 188? All right, let me fix that. All right, thank you. All right, so once you get them correct, okay, again, just make sure you double check. And then we're going to go back to stat. Okay, we're going to go over the top to calc, so arrow over to calc. And then option number 4. Okay, you can just keep hitting enter until you see your A and B. Voila, there we go. So now you're going to go back to your notes and you're going to write in for part A. Okay, we'll write y equals 0.82x plus 10.4. Now we're going to need that later in part D when we make our prediction. So now we want to know, well, what does the slope represent? Okay, let me ask you this question. Remember when we do slope, our slope is this, y2 minus y1 over x of 2 minus x of 1. Okay, remember I told you that the second line in your table, that's your y, correct? And another name for slope, does anybody know another name for slope? Rate of what? Rate of change, okay. So this is the rate of change of what though? Well, what's my y's? My y's are what? So it's the rate of change for the number, and I'm going to abbreviate number with NO with a period, number of indoor movie theaters. Over time. Now you can say from, let's actually put from, I like that better, from 1975 to what? Right, from 1975 to 1995. That is what it means, because my y's are at the top, which would be this column here over this column here, okay? So now, well, what does the y-intercept represent? What do you think? What do you think that 10.4 represents? Yes. Actually, it's where you start. Right. So that would be the starting point would be in 1975. Okay. So let's just say, let's just put the starting point. And the starting point here would be the amount in 1975. Okay, so that would be the amount of movies in 1975, okay, because that's where you start, okay? So how many indoor movie theaters will there be in 2007? So, well, look, our chart only goes to 1995, but we can figure out if we're increasing by 5. So let's figure this out. So if I go to 2000 would be 25, is that correct? All right, and then I add 5 more years, I'll be at 2000 what? 5, and that's going to be at what, 30? Okay, I keep on going, I'm going to add 5 more years, that'll be 2000 what? 10, all right, and that's going to take me to what? 35. Well, 2007 is in between those two. So what number do you think I should use for 2007? 32. Very good. Okay, 32. So in 2007, I'm really going to be looking for 32 in the table. So what you're going to do is go back to your calculator. You're going to hit the y equals key. Hit clear to clear your other equation out. And you're going to type in y equals, well, the y equals is there, 0.82x plus 10, what was it, 10.4? Okay. And then once you do that, go to your table. Now, I don't want to scroll to 32, so I'm going to change my table. So I'm going to hit second window, put in 32. And then when I go back to second graph, 32 is at the top. So we're going to say approximately 37, because again, these are all approximations. We're getting this so we can actually just make a good prediction. So we're going to say approximately 37. Okay, so that's the approximate symbol. Okay, approximately 37. And this is going to be in thousands, right? 37, let's put 1,000. And 37,000 what? Theaters? Okay, 37,000 theaters. Okay. All right, we're going to do one more together, and then you guys will be on your own. I'll tell you what you're going to do for the rest of the time. So let's go ahead. This is number 2. And let's go ahead and hit stat again. And we're going to put in 0. Okay, first. Now, you could also do this. When you hit stat, everybody hit option 4 after stat. Okay, hit enter. Uh-oh, hold on. Maybe not. Well, I think I would have to put in a list. So let's just go back and clear it the way we were doing it. I was going to show you a quicker way, but I'll do that another day. All right, so let's go ahead and hit enter. And just clear your list real fast. Okay, you probably know what to do now. Okay. All right, and then once you have your list cleared, we're going to put in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first list. Once you have all of your numbers in, we're going to go back to stat, over to calc, option number 4, and I'm just going to keep hitting enter until I see my slope and y-intercept. Okay, this is what I got. So I have 0.94x plus 16.17. So you would hit, obviously write down y equals. And then go ahead and answer, what does the slope represent? Okay, look at your y over your x, and you should be able to tell me. And the y-intercept, guys, will always be where you started with whatever is talking about in the problem. Okay, that's always your starting point. That's where your y-intercept. And then go ahead and see if you can figure out the predictions for how many books in 2010. Okay, and then we're going to stop there.